Hello, lovely soul. Today we're going to do a humming practice. This is a beam inner energy movement video. So we're balancing elements and becoming aware of how energy moves through our body. And humming, for me, is one of the most potent practices that I do daily to help balance so many different things, physically, mentally, emotionally. One of the things that I love humming for is for anxiety, because when we hum, we start to increase the oxygen level in our brain by humming, and we also help to calm the nervous system down. We're creating a vibration, a sound or frequency that can help to bring great feeling into our body. And humming is different to toning. It's not like, we've got our lips closed. So we're creating a vibration in our lips, and I won't go too much into the scientifics of it, but humming has been shown to actually lower blood pressure and heart rate. So if you're having anxiety or panic, it can help to calm that down. It increases the oxygen throughout your cells. You can direct it to different parts of the body, which we'll be doing today in our humming practice, because this is humming for the water element energies. And common disorders with the water element energies are anxiety, depression, too much heat up in the head, not enough in the lower body, not enough energy going through our pelvis, our reproductive organs, our bladder, our kidneys, our joints, our bones, the bone marrow, and more important than anything, our nervous system. When we can regulate our own nervous system without having to be in contact with another human being, that's what humming can do for us. It can help to increase our lymphatic circulation, which is tied to our water element. And your lymph fluids are basically like filters. Your lymph nodes filter toxins and impurities from your body. So it increases the lymphatic system, which will also then boost your immune system. So humming can be really beneficial if you are recovering from an illness, or you start to notice, my throat's a little bit scratchy, had a bit of sinus congestion, ears feeling a little bit sore, getting some congestion built up in there. So it's a wonderful thing that you can do pretty much anywhere. Most people don't think it's weird when you hum. With this practice, we are humming for a longer tone, so people might be, like, why is she humming over there? But it's a phenomenal way of boosting your energy, of making you feel better. When you hum, you generally feel more joyful. It's actually been scientifically proven that it releases endorphins. So it can help to release pain. If you're feeling pain in a certain area of your body, you can hum into it. And depending on where it is in your body, there'll be a different tone for each area of your body. So higher tones like are going to affect your head. Is going to affect down into the lower part of your body. So you can find your own range of humming notes, and if you want to base it on the 7 chakras or energy centers, starting at the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, pelvis, root. So that's the lowest I can hit and the highest I can hit as far as the tone goes. So you want the sound to kind of be coming through your nose, your mouth, and through your ears, not so much in the back of your throat, even though you're using your vocal cords. You want your lips to vibrate as you're doing it. And as you start doing a humming practice, you only really want to do it for about 3 to 5 minutes maximum, because you might get a little bit lightheaded. So if you've watched the other beam inner movement videos, kidney 27 and kidney 1 points are great to do the self acupressure on before you hum, which is what I just did, because it helps to open up the breath in your body. And as I showed you in that video, I have a rolled up bath towel underneath my sit bones, rolled up. I have a pillow behind my back, and that allows my hip flexors to be more relaxed. They're in line with my pelvis rather than being jacked up like this. Because when your hip flexors are tight, it actually stops the flow of your water element energies. It puts you into a fight, flight, or freeze response. So as I showed in the last video, I take a bath towel, because especially with my couch, it tends to lift my knees higher than my hips. The idea is to get your knees in line with your hips and to allow the pelvis to tilt back a little bit. Sorry, not to tilt back a little bit, to roll forward a little bit, so that you can actually open up the energy in the body. If this is what happens when you sit back on a couch oftentimes, or in a chair, is you tend to slouch backwards. That's the pelvis rolling backwards. We want to roll it forwards. So, towels underneath my sit bones. And when I position it a little bit higher like that, you can see how, whereas before I was still sinking down a little bit, now my whole upper body, I'm not having to hold it up. It's right there. And it feels supported. And the pillow behind my back feels supportive. It's supporting those bladder channels along the back of the spine. So it's important when you hum that you're in a position where your feet are flat on the ground, because you are going to be bringing nitrous oxide into your nasal cavities, into your sinus cavities. And nitrous oxide is incredible for your immune system, your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system. And humming also helps to basically widen your blood vessels. It causes vasodilation. So if you suffer with migraines or headaches or anything where those blood vessels constrict, it can really help to release that out of your head and to open up the blood flow to your brain. They've also found that humming increases levels of melatonin. Melatonin is not only linked with our circadian rhythms when we sleep at night. I take melatonin at night to help me sleep. It also helps as an anti-aging agent. It also helps with immune response. And humming opens up basically your pineal gland, which is connected to your third eye. And oftentimes when I do my humming practice, I notice that my inner vision, my intuition, becomes very, very heightened. So that's some of the benefits. And if you want to know more about the scientific effects of humming, this book by Jonathan and Andy Goldman, The Humming Effect, Sound Healing for Health and Happiness, came out about 2017. And there's a wonderful podcast with Lee Harris, and his podcast name is Impact the World. And episode 103, he's interviewing Jonathan and Andy about the humming effect. They're world sound healing pioneers, and they've done a lot of research in working with people with chronic pain, chronic health disorders, and they found that by humming, they've actually really helped people to relieve a lot of those issues. When you do it with a friend or in a group, it's kind of like the Om, same thing in a yoga class, right? That vibrates your lips. There's also a wonderful connection between the throat and the pelvis. So if you look at pictures of this, you will see that the vocal cords and the throat mimic the vulva on a woman. And that means that on a man, it's probably somewhere around the base of his penis, around that area, that there's an energetic connection between your throat and your pelvis. So not only are you helping to bring more chi into your sexual organs, into your reproductive system, into your bladder and kidneys, your adrenals, blood flow into your brain, boosting your immune system, opening your pineal gland, vasodilating the vessels, all of those things, creating more endorphins, those feel-good chemicals, oxytocin. You're regulating your own nervous system. You don't need somebody else to hold on to or be in presence with. Very important, and I will state this before we do the humming, that you ground yourself afterwards. Don't do the humming practice and then just get up and be like, oh yeah, I feel great. You'll probably feel a little bit lightheaded. So I find for myself, and it's in one of the other videos for this practice, this series for anxiety and depression and immune boosting and all the things, is to do Murti Mudra afterwards. The mudra where your little fingers are joined together, the other fingers are clasped, and after I finish my humming practice, I will sit in Murti Mudra for about 3 to 5 minutes to ground back into my body in case I've started to get a little bit too high up in my head, and keeping the feet flat on the floor. I'm going to do a simple humming practice today using 2 sounds, a lower sound and an upper sound. And we want those 2 sounds, if possible, to resonate with our second chakra, our pelvis, and our throat. Now, if it feels uncomfortable to do your throat, you can rest your hand on your heart. Sometimes when you have blockages in your reproductive organs, past experiences that weren't helpful for you, you may notice that it feels uncomfortable to place your hand on your throat. So you can rest it either between your throat and your heart or on your heart and find the tone there. Find what works for you. So I'm going to find 2 tones. I'm going to go with my heart right now. One for my heart and one for my pelvis. So starting at the top, you find your highest note. That feels like about my heart. So the second one up from the bottom is my pelvis one. It sounds something like this if I go from bottom to top. So take a moment to do that. Find your two tones. And if you place your hands over those areas, you might be able to feel the sound vibrating into them. So once you've found those two tones, what we're going to do is I'll show you, and then you can do it with me for about 3 minutes. We're going to use the lower tone first and then the higher tone. Doing that lifts energy up. So we're lifting energy up from our pelvis into our heart, which will bring us more joy, which helps overcome that anxiety and that depression. And then we want to ground it, so we'll take the higher tone and shift it down to the lower tone to ground it, and we'll finish off with the grounding lower tone down here so that we're back down into where we need to be, stable in our pelvis. So I'll demonstrate it first. You're going to breathe in through your nose, and then you'll make the sound for as long as your breath lasts out of your nose into those two tones. Now if your nose is congested, doing that kidney 27 and kidney 1 self-acupressure that was in the previous video to this one will help you to breathe more easily. You'll be able to hopefully breathe through your nose. You can breathe in through your mouth, but it's not recommended because you're not going to get that same effect with the nitrous oxide and with the vasodilation of the capillaries. So I'll demonstrate it first and then we'll do it together for a few minutes. Okay, if at any time you start to feel lightheaded, stop and look around you. Notice a few things around you and name them out loud. Notice a few things that you can touch. Your butt against the couch, your clothes against your skin, your hands resting either on your heart and your pelvis or on your throat and your pelvis, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Notice things that you can hear. Notice things that you can smell. Notice things that you can taste. Bringing in the 5 senses anytime that you maybe start to dissociate a little or get a little faint feeling or get a little bit of lightheadedness, make sure you open your eyes, number 1. And like I say, start looking around. You can always resume the humming practice if you feel up to it, but it's important to start with this really slowly, because believe you me, it's incredibly potent. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes to start to feel an effect. And And if you're recovering from a surgery, for example, and you wanted to, I have a dear friend that's recovering from a knee surgery right now, you could place your hand on your knee, one hand on your pelvis, and find that lowest note that you can find. And imagine taking that low vibratory note, that lowest one that you can get down to, into your knee to speed up its healing. You could also imagine the color red, because this is in the root chakra area of the body, and red brings a lot of blood and heat to help heal and speed up after a surgery. So there's so many ways that you can use humming as a really effective tool for pain relief, for surgery, for balancing, for helping with a lot of these water elemental energy imbalances. So let's do the practice together. Take a nice deep breath in. Find your low tone first and then the high tone. Open your eyes. Look around you. You may notice the color blue. As you do this practice more and you stimulate that pineal gland and open up your third eye, you might notice that the room has turned a beautiful indigo blue color. You might notice you feel a little bit dizzy. This is where it's really good to bring the senses in, look around you, name a few things you can see, a few things you can touch, a few things you can hear, smell and taste. And then you can do the Murti Mudra, joining your little fingers together, other fingers are clasped, and rest that with your little fingers pointing downwards on the top of your hip bones. Rest your arms on top of your hip bones, not your little fingers. And hold the Murti Mudra for up to 5 to 15 minutes. And you'll see in the next video the benefits that Murti Mudra has in stabilizing you and grounding you, bringing you back to the present moment. It's very normal when you start humming to feel sensations in your body, to have twitches happen, and feel energy start to move through different parts of your body. But start out slow. Make sure that you get centered beforehand, and that you don't practice for any more than about 3 to 5 minutes, at least for the first week, unless you're used to toning or chanting or oming on a daily basis. You can then extend your humming practice for up to 10 or 15 minutes, as in gradual another round increments. You can hum through each of the chakras from high to low notes. But today we were focusing on harmonizing the heart and the kidneys and the throat, of bringing in that kidney element energy and nourishing it. So that's why I chose the 2 tones today, and each shine class in the sound healing and in the beam inner movement videos, there will be different humming practices for each element, for each area, system, chakra, organ in the body. So I hope you enjoyed. If this was your first humming practice, it truly just makes you feel better on so many different levels. And now I feel like I have the energy to make the rest of the videos that I need to make today. So hum along, enjoy sounding like a little hummingbird or bumblebee.